In the summer of 2011, the city of Cortez applied for a grant from the Orton Family Foundation, sponsor of the Community Heart and Soul Project for small rural communities around the United States. Cortez was one of 5 communities selected in the Rocky Mountain region, and this began a 3-year process of engagement and outreach. By reconnecting people with what they love about their community, Heart and Soul seeks to translate those emotional connections into a blueprint that serves as a foundation for future community decisions. It's a barn-raising approach to planning and development, designed to increase participation in decision-making and empower residents to shape their future while being mindful of the history and character of their community. We began with the idea that strength of a community lies in the hands and hearts of the people who live there, and that the community's heart and soul is the common cause that they will rally around. Communities that acknowledge and value their heart and soul are able to take action to strengthen it. Emotional connections can ultimately drive action for the public good when people begin to see themselves and their personal stories as part of a larger community narrative. What's more, they begin to see themselves as the creators of that narrative. From the beginning, we tried to involve as many people as possible, with community conversations, videotaped interviews, block parties, surveys, and citywide summits. First up was to find out just what people value about Cortez and the community. Of all the qualities people like about Cortez, its friendly, accepting, and supportive community stands out.
See, Cortez is a town that should never have been. We're not on a railroad, we're not on a river. Yeah, so it's like, what in the heck are we? What are we?
It's this town that could survive, and so it's got to do with the kind of people that got attracted to the area early on. There's a certain stick-to-itiveness and a kind of a grit.
If you're somebody who likes to get involved and kind of get in the trenches and be a part of things, this is more inviting.
I think the people in Cortez care about each other, and they care about the community, and I see a lot of projects going to make it more comfortable, safer, prettier. They take pride in the community here in Cortez.
I love, there's just so many things to be attached to here. I love the fact that there's this huge and diverse variety of people who all manage to get along, even though we have very different ideologies and political beliefs and religious backgrounds.
And everywhere you go, there's a friendly face.
I like the fact that I can still stand in line at City Market or at the bank or wherever and have really meaningful conversations, relationships with people who are very different from me.
Cortez is uniquely situated, bounded by mountains and mesas, yet close to the desert. Alpine country to the north and east, yet surrounded by ancient southwestern archaeological sites. Home to Mesa Verde National Park and Canyons of the Ancients National Monument. Residents value the natural beauty and geographic diversity that living in Cortez offers.
I love how close you are to the mountains and to the desert. Within a day, within a short drive, you can be in either place.
There's so much accessibility to all kinds of things, outdoor things to do.
People want to hike and they want to ski and they want to do outdoor things. And that's what I like about here. People are way more motivated and way more interesting.
It feels like I'm right in the middle of all the things I want to have access to. I don't feel like I'm in a remote outpost at all. I feel like I'm kind of in the belly button of the Four Corners, so to speak.
Because every time I go away someplace, I think, well, it's nice to get away. But as soon as I see the Ute mountain again, you know, I get this sort of nostalgic feeling about getting home, and there's just a really very homey atmosphere about Cortez.
With a population of under 10,000, Cortez certainly qualifies as a small town. That smallness fosters a kind of closeness and connection that only a small community can offer, along with a gentler pace and a more relaxed lifestyle. Because we are more dependent on each other, we tend to look after each other as well.
I like the small town atmosphere.
It's a slower pace of life. The blood pressure seems to be lower all the time.
I love the people here. I love the type of people who live here.
There's just a really very homey atmosphere about Cortez.
The people. There was something so special about these people.
I think that we all have a responsibility, maybe even a burden, and a privilege of being part of a collective, committed to each other to make everybody's lives better.
Over the past few decades, Cortez has built an impressive civic infrastructure of amenities. The library, recreation center, parks, and open spaces offer great places to play and gather, and to interact with others in the community.
I can't think of any other town of this size and of this financial ability that has anything approaching the park infrastructure we have in Cortez.
We're very blessed here in the city of Cortez with our parks and recreation facilities. We have a 46,000 square foot recreation center that offers just wonderful amenities to the community, from we have racquetball courts to meeting rooms to walking jogging track, a workout area, a leisure pool with a lazy river, a competitive lap pool. So for this size of community, we have a lot to offer with our recreation center facility. And we also have over 600 acres of park and open space. It's not only the physical health and well-being, but it's having spaces to bring people together to connect. And I think as we get more plugged in with telephones and everything that you can be plugged into, it's just going to becoming more of a valued commodity to have places that people can gather and still come together and socialize. And I think that's just as important in the Parks and Rec world as it is as providing a place for health for people.
The cultural heritage of our area is a matter of great pride to our local residents. The legacy of the ancient inhabitants, the richness of today's Native American culture, and the rugged individualism of the pioneers who came to this valley more than 100 years ago are all celebrated with equal fervor.
The Native Americans have been here for centuries, and then I'm full-blooded Navajo, and a lot of my people used to come up here to Cortez. We call it Seyato because it's called water under the rock, like a spring.
One of our biggest values here is that we do have Ute, Navajo, early pioneers. There are actually very few of those. We lost those quickly.
So all of this is part of our homeland within the four sacred mountains.
Being the Ute tribe located southwest Colorado, it's only one out of 2 tribes in Colorado, so it's a big part of Colorado history.
Now we have a lot of Native Americans that live here in our community.
The Navajo culture is, if you speak with them, many of them feel that they have to become immigrants from the reservation and start a life over here, but they maintain their cultural connections on the Navajo reservation.
As far as economically, the Native Americans have played a huge part in the economic part of Cortez and our community.
When we talk about our cowboy heritage, it's really more involved in that. It's the mining heritage, the cowboy heritage, and the farmers' heritage that Montezuma County was really planned to be.
What I'd like to see as the community and the Hispanic people get together and start working as a group is the biggest thing, is educate the kids into the culture, and then the culture can bring it up.
Well, agriculture is an important part of this economy here. It's an important part of the culture and kind of the whole idea of what it's like to live in Cortez, Colorado. The rural lifestyle, I think, is probably one of the things that draws people to want to live here.
Creating an environment for lifelong learning requires a strong commitment to schools, students, and teachers. From early childhood education through community college and beyond, Cortez citizens value education and all it means for the economy and the quality of life, now and in the future.
I think education means a lot, especially in a small community.
I think that education is really the backbone of every community.
Montelores Early Childhood Council really lays the foundation for all future learning for our youngest citizens. We know that if children don't enter school ready to learn, that they're not going to be successful later in life. We don't only look at the early learning environments, we also look at their social emotional development.
We like to talk about educating the whole child. It's not just academics, but we also have a really strong social and emotional program. Our overall goal is that when the kids walk out of Mesa School, they are prepared for middle school and high school, who's preparing them for the world.
In 2012, the community was awarded a grant for $22.7 million toward the construction of a new high school, but only if the voters matched that amount. The bond issue was passed, and a new facility was soon to come. The new Montezuma County High School opened in the fall of 2015.
This is one of the nicest high schools that I've ever been to. More technology and more features in every classroom that are resources for the student and teachers. Creating students that are immediately employable for our community helps us to, one, create jobs, create revenue, and keep this community running, and I think it benefits our community overall, especially when we can send them off to college or send them into the workforce and be successful, and then they bring their kids back here, and it's a cycle that just perpetuates itself if we do a great job.
The value of thriving small businesses and a viable Main Street is abundantly clear in Cortez. A successful small business community is vital for the economy and the character of a small town such as ours. And business in Cortez is thriving.
America was built by small towns, and small towns were built by small businesses.
Locally owned businesses tend to recycle their revenue in the community more times. And so that enhances the whole community.
The small businesses provide the taxes and collect the sales taxes that the local municipalities operate on.
They tend to occupy existing buildings or locations and try to keep the town center centralized, walking distance, reducing sprawl, pollution. They typically will provide unique services and products that keeps a very unique feel to the community so that people aren't driving in and seeing just big box stores. Small businesses have local influence where decisions are made at the local level that influence everyone in a community. So the locally owned businesses typically are higher paying jobs too. They provide one-on-one training, individualized training, and typically have a longer relationship with their employees.
Those small towns that thrive and survive are the ones that have strong, well-funded, well-managed small businesses.
Cortez was founded because of its agricultural potential, and farming and ranching remain the economic backbone of the community. More than that, contact with the land and the lifestyle it fosters are foundations of the local culture as well.
Agriculture is very important for our community. I mean, that was one of the first reasons that people came to this community was they looked at this, boy, if we could get a little water from the Dolores River over here, we could grow some good stuff.
Well, agriculture started out, of course, with small family farms, and that's still a tradition of that in the Montezuma Valley.
Those were the small, scrapping farmers that came here and basically started Cortez.
But a lot of farms have consolidated, and so larger farm operations are now somewhat normal.
There's plenty of people who are interested in buying food from their neighbors and buying food from people in their local communities.
Kind of got now a move back to smaller farms with the small production as we see at farmers markets and other places.
So we want to keep the food that's grown here, right here, and create an interdependent local food economy.
We still have a lot of the water and farm ground, which is being kept that way. The development here has been slow, and that's allowed projects like the School to Farm project to evolve, and people that are really interested in taking care of themselves again, which was how it all started here.
If you're not providing in your community the items that you need that our citizens value, you're really not governing. You're not providing what the citizens as a whole desire.
Probably the most lasting impact, and I feel what's most important about the project is bringing the community together for communication.
People, when they get together and can talk freely, talk about their hopes and their vision, their fears about what might happen or what they don't like, things get done.
More voices lead to a better outcome.
I think we have demonstrated to the community what it's like to have your city council, your city manager, and many other leaders in the community, what it's like to create new voices or bring in those voices into the community.
Heart and Soul has completely changed the way I look at planning for the city of Cortez.
I feel there's like a renaissance in this community right now. It's just kind of that mix of people. We have this right balance of people right now where we've got a lot of people who are progressive thinking and want to see some things change, and then you've got a lot of people who typically don't want change, and they're buying into it. They're seeing the positive benefits. So I'm really hoping that Heart and Soul can kind of be the vehicle that keeps that momentum going on that feeling and that spirit, and that it keeps people talking to each other, and it keeps us constantly improving our community and coming together more.
They're understanding more about what the city does. I'm understanding the people's needs more. And as we move forward, we're thinking more long term.
I think it will last. I think we have shown the community this is what happens when your leaders and Heart and Soul combine. That's a bomb.
How this community feels and thinks and believes may be vastly different in 15 years. And so we can't just think, okay, well now we've got it. You know, we know what the average Cortesian thought in 2013, and so we'll forever know how they feel.
You know, we can point to something that people can actually see.
The effects of Heart and Soul, I believe, are going to last in this community for many years to come.
This is what Heart and Soul was implemented to do, and look where we are and look what it's done.
After months of community conversations, special events, videotaped interviews, block parties, and citywide summits, the values gleaned from the Heart and Soul process have now been turned into an action plan that will point the way to the future. A new land use code will provide the framework for all planning projects going forward. And the city's advisory boards have become more inclusive, even including our young people for a different perspective. A storybook was created to chronicle the path of this project, along with this video. And we are proud to announce that Cortez is the 2015 recipient of the Colorado Merit Award for Community Engagement. Heart and Soul gave us the means to reach out and take the pulse of the community, digest what we learned, and use those values to create a path forward. Thank you to all the citizens who participated and contributed to this project. And we can all look forward to a better future because of you and Heart and Soul.